All right, so everyone should see now on the top of their screen that our meeting is streaming live now on YouTube. So what you see on your screen in the Zoom is exactly what is showing up for our viewers. My name is Brenda Drake. So good evening, members of the Gifted Advisory Committee and those who are watching on our live stream. I am going to preside over the meeting just temporarily tonight while you elect your officers. This is a new group, which is so exciting. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you to Emily Loda for serving as secretary tonight. I'm looking for her on the screen. There she is. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And our first item tonight is adopting the agenda. The agenda was sent to everyone in advance of the meeting. Does anyone wish to see the agenda on the screen before they make a vote? Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So I will need someone to unmute. Thank you so much. Who was that?
I believe it was Amy.
Yes, it was.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. And do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second. I'm Terry.
Thank you, Terry. The voices really do help. So thank you guys so much. Is there any discussion about the adoption of the agenda? Perfect. We'll do a quick voice vote. All those in favor to adopt the agenda as presented tonight?
Aye.
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 Great job. Anyone opposed? All right, that is unanimous support for our agenda this evening. Thank you so much. Our next item of business is the election of officers. Anna, as you know, has expressed interest in serving as the chair of the Gifted Advisory Committee. Marty Hale has expressed interest in serving as vice chair of the Gifted Advisory Committee. And as of right now, no one has asked to serve as secretary for the committee. And that's okay. We'll walk through all of that together. So we will vote on each position individually. I know we presented you a slate of officers, but we will vote on each one separately. And then I will conduct a roll call vote for each position. So I will call everyone's name. You'll need to unmute to say yay or nay, and then mute. So we'll do that just for those 3 items this evening, just in the interest of clarity. And I will ask you in advance for your patience as I tally the roll call votes at the end of each position. And just for clarification this evening, for those, especially for those who are watching in the public, I am not a member of the Gifted Advisory Committee, and I will not be voting. I am only here temporarily to lead the meeting. And once I hand it off to your new chair at the end of this election process, so I'll walk you through all 3 positions. You'll see my screen go silent. I'll still be here for technical assistance because that live stream is connected to me, but I won't be participating in the meeting actively. Does anyone have any questions about that process before I move forward? All right, sounds good. I'm still managing the waiting room and all that good jazz. So first, do I have a motion to elect Anna Vigian as the chair of the Gifted Advisory Committee? She is the only member to express interest in this position.
This is Erin. I'll nominate her.
Thank you, Erin. Do I have a second?
This is Yasmin. I second.
Can you please repeat what you just said? Sorry, I was late, a few minutes late. Sorry.
Oh, that is no problem.
Thank
We're
you.
working through the election of the officers. And so the motion is to elect Anna Vigian as the chair of the Gifted Advisory Committee. We have a motion and we have a second, and I will open it up to the floor to any discussion. Does anyone have any discussion about this motion?
Sorry, real quick, who was the second by?
That's okay. The second was by Yasmin Phillips.
Okay, thank you.
So I vote Anna to be the chair for the Gifted Committee.
Yes, that is the motion. Yes, ma'am. All right, sounds like everybody has clarity. I'm going to roll through. Our roll call is not in any order whatsoever, so I apologize for that. Yasmin?
Here, sorry.
Oh, this one's a yes or a no.
Oh, yes.
Okay, sounds good. Anna?
Sorry, yes.
Erin DeJesus?
Yes.
Thank you. Emily Loda,
Yes.
Natalie Cook. Oh, she's not checked. I'm so sorry. Naren.
Yes.
Thank you. Julie Kamensky,
Yes.
Terry Vangelos,
Yes.
Julie Stanley,
Yes.
Marty Hale,
Yes.
Amy Gruden.
Yes.
Thank you. Carrie Weatherspoon,
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you so much. So Anna, congratulations. You are the chair. I assume you want me to roll through these next two election of officers real quick. And hand it over?
Yes, thank you. I think that would be really smooth if you did that.
That's no problem at all. But congratulations as our past and current now chair of the committee. So that's fantastic. So the next thing we're talking about is our vice chair. Do I have a motion to elect Marty Hale as the vice chair of the Gifted Advisory Committee? She is the only member to express interest in this position.
I'll motion that. It's Amy.
Thank you so much, Amy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'm second.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
I saw Terry Vangelos with the yellow screen, so that's what I'm going to
Yes.
go with, if that's okay with Emily. All right. Then let us roll down the list. We've had a few people added, so let me just make sure that I've got them checked off. Yasmin?
Yes.
Thank you. Anna?
Yes,
Aaron De Jesus?
Yes.
Emily Loda?
Yes.
Naren?
Yes.
Julie Kamensky?
Yes.
Terry Vangelos?
Yes.
Cheryl Burl Graves, you were the last to hop on. Are you in a spot where you could vote? I know sometimes audio takes a while.
I am here. Yes.
Okay. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Julie Stanley,
Yes.
Marty Hale,
Yes.
Amy Gurin,
Yes.
Carrie Weatherspoon.
Yes.
Again, unanimous. Congratulations, Marty. All right, so one more to go. We did not have any members express interest in the position of secretary of the Gifted Advisory Committee. According to the bylaws, the role of secretary is to record the minutes and maintain the membership list. Does anyone wish to express interest now? Okay, so
So I was going to say it's not necessarily interest, but if no one else will do it, I will continue to do it.
well, and you certainly have options. So while this is a position listed in your bylaws, recording of the minutes and maintaining the membership list, that can occur in a variety of ways. So you all can continue as a group to decide before the meeting, will someone be the acting secretary for that meeting? I have been a part of boards who have done that, and that has worked really well. You also are in the unique position of having an office of primary responsibility. So you as a group may decide that you'd like to ask Ms. Knapp to take on that responsibility. And you may decide that you want to wait and see, sort of do a handoff for a little while and then see if someone wants to take it on in a few months. I'll open that discussion up to you all as a group to how you might want to handle that.
I'm new to Gifted Advisory Committee, and I would like to serve the committee. But due to I'm still new, and I would like to keep observing, as I emailed Brenda before. And I'm happy to share the duty with you, Emily, if you are comfortable. Maybe we can alternate. And also, I'm learning. Maybe I couldn't get all the complete list of the agendas or meeting minutes every time. But I'm happy to send it to Anna and the wise like Marty for review before we make it public. How about that?
I think that sounds great, but I'm not a member of the committee, which I have to keep reminding myself of. What do you all think? I see a lot of head nodding.
it sounds great to me.
All right, so we won't do an official motion for this. Emily and Naren, you guys will work together. On the secretary, I'll send a quick email afterwards, just in case you need any support from me. I'm happy to provide that to you. But for right now, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Anna. Oh, I should do that officially over here, shouldn't I? Let me make you a host so that you have all the abilities that you need to have. There we go. My screen's going to turn off. Thank you for letting me be here tonight, and thank you for all that you're doing to support our work in Montgomery County Schools. We couldn't do what we do, all of the great programs that we offer, without the support of our committees like Gifted Advisory. So thank you so much, and thank you for letting me be a part of your meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda, for all your
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda, for conducting our meeting thus far and for all your other support that you've done in the weeks coming up to the meeting.
Oh, one item I wanted to ask. Is there anyone signed up for public address?
I am double checking right now.
Yep. I just wanted to be prepared for the waiting room. That's all.
Sure. There is no one signed up for
Alright.
public address.
Sounds good. All right, my camera's going to go off. I'll leave you guys to it.
Okay. So, as Brenda said, our next order of business on the agenda is the opportunity for a public address. I should probably share my screen so we can see the agenda. Just 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm still new to this and, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just new to this. Okay. So hopefully that worked. No. Oh yeah, that's okay. Do people see the agenda? Okay, thank you. So what I want to do, even though we don't have any members of the public signed up for a public address, just to make sure everyone understands what public address is all about and the procedure for it, I'm still going to go through the procedure. Our public address period is governed by school board policy, and the specific guidelines for addressing the GAC are linked in the agenda and in the GAC website. And members of the public must complete the GAC opportunity for public address form prior to the end of the public comment period if they wish to speak. And the opportunity for public address form is on the GAC website. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. The speaker should first state their name, address, and the subject of their remarks. The GAC has set aside 15 minutes for public address, but may vote to extend that time if needed. And as a reminder, the board or the committee does not respond to speakers during public address. Speakers are not allowed to present complaints against MCPS employees until or unless such complaints have gone through the proper channels and the division superintendent has received the complaint in writing. If anyone does have an individual concern about your child's education, you should contact your child's gifted resource teacher, classroom teacher, or school principal. Public address is meant for addressing the GAC about general issues concerning gifted education at MCPS. Although, as I said, if you have already gone through the proper channels, then you are allowed to present a concern at the meeting as well. So that's what I had prepared to say about public address. And I think we, let's see, let me just make sure no one's like happened to sign up. Okay, so public address is now closed and we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is approval of meeting minutes. These are the minutes of February 9th, 2021, as prepared by our secretary, who was Emily. Are there any, You had access to the minutes earlier. Does anyone want me to open the minutes so that we can look at them? I don't think so. Okay, so, and are there any corrections anyone wants to make to the minutes? Okay, there are no corrections. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 9th as prepared by our secretary?
This is Yasmin. I motion.
Okay, thank you. And do I have a second?
This is Julie. I second.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and vote by voice. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Okay, so the ayes have it and the minutes are approved. Thank you. So next on our agenda, we have an update from the Gifted program, and Diane Naff is presenting.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the GAC. I have a couple of updates from the program. We're just thoroughly excited that we're able to be in the phase of instruction that we're in, because many of the GRTs, again, that sent out pictures from their good news events and Twitter showed some of our students in the GAC, in the GRT classroom. So we're excited that we're able to move forward into that phase. Since we last met, we've updated some resources for parents and community members in the parent resource catalog, and you'll find that on the parent section of the MCPS Gifted website, and all of those new items are listed in blue. So check them out, some good resources, and we hope that you'll ask to have those shared with you. One item for curriculum that I wanted to share with you is Max's Big Camp Out. In past years, many of our gifted students have used their research or their passion project to do some type of a community service project. We've had students make things for the animal shelter. We've had students provide additional funds for the food pantry, or they've even bought things for the food pantry. But this year, our leadership project was steered in a different direction. So we wanted to offer our students an opportunity to do something by themselves. So again, through the GRTs, you'll find out about Max's Big Camp Out, and it's an opportunity for our students just to do a little bit of service learning. We're not asking them to donate money like Max is. He's raised a lot of money, but it can be just a really simple thing that students can do to help out in the community. Thirdly, I'd like to give you an update about Southwest Virginia Governor's School. We have students from all 4 of the high schools that are participating right now. I'm meeting with those students, and then I'm also doing their assessments. So applications are due next week, and I'm really pleased that we do have interest from all 4 of our high schools. One thing that I want you to mark your calendars for: the VA Gifted Association is our state professional organization, and they're going to have a free workshop on Thursday, March 18th from 7 to 8:30. And we shared this out with all of our parents either yesterday or today through newsletters or through an email. So we'd love for you to participate in that as a GAC member or as a parent. The workshop is meant to help parents manage the social and emotional needs of gifted students. So all you have to do is go to vagifted.org for more information and to register. It's free. And lastly, we've done a lot of curriculum updates out in the last 3 to 4 weeks. The GRTs have sent newsletters. They've done updates last week and this week. We've also had multiple updates on Twitter. And so I know some of you don't like Twitter, but you're missing out because you could have seen some great classroom work last week in this. So on the bottom of your agenda, I think it's still there. Yes, it says stay in touch with Gifted News, Twitter, and that's our handle. So please, and I thank all of you that follow the GRTs, because we've really seen some really good instruction and student projects, and lots of good things are happening out in the schools. Thank you for allowing me to talk about the program.
Thank you, Diane. It's exciting. Can I ask for any questions? If anyone has any questions for Diane? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're up to our final agenda item, which is a big one. And this is our core work for the year. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, so I'm just to remind everybody what our scope of work is. Oh, and I should mention that our scope of work that we decided on and approved at our last meeting was sent to the school board, and it was approved on March 2nd. And so the GAC, all of the GAC's work this year is guided, or this school year is guided by our 2020 to 21 scope of work. And I'm just going to review the important part of what it says for what we're doing tonight. So let's review what we're supposed to accomplish this year. Scope of work says that in accordance with the Virginia regulations governing educational services for gifted students and the MCPS Gifted Advisory Committee bylaws, the committee is responsible for reviewing the MCPS local plan for the education of the gifted 2020 to 25, including recommending revisions thereto, determining the extent to which the local plan for the previous year was implemented, submitting a written report to the division superintendent and the school board detailing the findings of the annual effectiveness review and making related recommendations, and reviewing and formulating suggestions regarding any revisions to the local plan. And we will focus our work during the 2020 to 21 school year to the area of curriculum and instruction. Just a quick note, Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you mentioned to me that there are not going to be any revisions to the local plan that are sort of like initiated by the division. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so we won't be doing that last bit, which is reviewing and formulating suggestions regarding revisions. But we are allowed, according to the first little point here, to recommend revisions ourselves. Okay, so to summarize, like my understanding of what this says, we get to take, but everything is going to be focused on curriculum and instruction, but within that area, we get to take a look at our local plan, 2020 to 25. We can recommend revisions to it if we want to. And then we also have the responsibility of determining the extent to which the local plan was implemented. And my interpretation of previous year is 2020 to 21. It's this year. So implementation this year. And we are allowed to, as part of determining the extent to which it's implemented, request items of information from the division. If we desire to do so, to sort of kind of do our review of implementation. And then finally,
Anna, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Terry.
Terry.
We, I don't know that as a committee that we can determine how it was implemented unless we have a report from the division.
Yes.
So we need to ask for that.
Yes, I agree. I also want to explain that, I mean, so basically the idea is that we will get a report in April. That was my understanding, that Diane sort of assured me that she could provide some information to us for our April meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Diane. And I'll pause and let you say if you want to jump in. Okay. And I also,
That's correct. That's correct. The staff has been working. What we do annually is we look at our own objectives, and then at that previous meeting, the GRTs, they made a determination that we were not moving forward with any changes in the plan. And so we're probably 90% having a review of the curriculum pieces. So I'll have that ready for you at the next meeting.
I also want to mention that we can also request items. So we don't need to simply allow Diane to come up with a report all by herself. And if
What things would we be requesting?
so, I want to share with you some information I got from the I always forget her exact title, but her name is Donna Poland, and she's the I believe she's sort of the director of gifted education for all of Virginia. And so I did email her at one time for advice, kind of just clarification. And I might actually just look that up so I can read it to you. But basically, I don't know, I don't know what we want to decide to request, but examples that she gave included, I can look it up if you want me to, but examples she gave included, if you're looking at equity in terms of identification, you can request numbers of students identified in the different geographic areas, and racial or ethnic information about numbers of students identified, and she gave examples in her email, and it might help if I actually just share that with you right now.
But we don't know that we will need to request anything until after we see the division report. If there's holes or if we have questions, then we would need to go back and ask for more information or for clarification.
Well,
at curriculum specifically, and Diane just said that they're working on that report and will have it available for us.
My thinking is in the course of our discussion tonight, we may have things come up where we say, you know what, I don't know what the answer to that question is, but that's something we could ask Diane to include in her report. But if everybody else agrees with you, then that's fine. I mean, does anyone else want to jump in and discuss whether we do need to request things or not?
Hi, Anna, it's Amy. I agree with Terry. I think we need to wait and see what Diane and the other GRTs come back with. And then if we don't have the information we need, we can make requests then. But until then, it's kind of, we're just asking for stuff. So I think we need to be specific in what we're asking for.
My thinking is we have only 2 more meetings after this one. If we request something at our 3rd meeting, April, we won't have the answer until our 4th meeting, May. And then it's impossible to come up with a report in a single meeting to kind of process everything and come up with a written report to just kind of summarize our understanding and make related recommendations, in one meeting.
Are we able to get the report shared by the division report shared by email? And so we can all look at it, and then at our next April meeting, if we have questions, we can come with the questions then. I just don't understand what we don't have anything to ask about right now because we don't know what they're going to I assume that they'll include all the information we need. There may just be some small little pieces that even at the April meeting, that Diane can fill in the blanks for us.
Diane, would that be a possibility to get us your report in the matter of, say, 3 weeks? So we have, how many weeks is it till our next meeting? 4 or 5, I'm not sure.
And I just need you to follow up. I know it'll be posted as soon as we post the agenda. That would be an item that's on the agenda. So that would come out as soon as the agenda comes out.
But I guess it's going to depend on you, because I'm willing to like put in the effort to make the agenda, a couple of weeks in advance if your report will be ready.
The GAC, the GRTs well, we missed our last meeting because of being in the schools. I believe our meeting is that first Wednesday in April. So I should have something concluding that meeting very soon. I should have something by that Wednesday afternoon or Thursday.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
That gives us nearly a week that gives us a week to review it before our meeting. So I think that's good.
I'm not sure who to ask. And I think maybe this question goes to, I'm just wondering, in light of this conversation, could we go to our bylaws and really look for some direction in our bylaws and what we should be doing as a group with this?
I think the bylaws are very pared down. It's a very outlined kind of thing. If you want to look at the bylaws right now, we can do it.
I was just wondering if maybe that might give us some guidance here and kind of help us with our direction with this piece. Is there a link in the agenda I was looking to see? I was hoping maybe I could pull that up to take a look.
We really simplified our agenda, so it doesn't have links, but I have the link right here in front of me, so I can open it up and share. Just a second, let me share this with you. Am I sharing? Yes. So purpose and responsibility. I guess let's go down to the bullet points. Pursuant to school board policy, the GAC provides input to the division superintendent and the school board in the following ways: by annually reviewing the local plan for the education of gifted students, including recommending revisions thereto, by determining the extent to which the local plan for the previous year was implemented, by submitting so I guess that's what we're talking about, by submitting a written report, by reviewing and formulating suggestions regarding revisions, conducting all meetings in compliance with all applicable state, federal law and school board policy, engaging the community or fulfilling other responsibilities. So yeah, as I said, it's a very outlined form. I think this is the only line determining the extent to which the local plan for the previous year was implemented is the only line that refers to that job that we have.
Anna, this is Marty. I just wanted to help you a little bit. It should be under your bylaws and it should be number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah, it'll be by addressing the effectiveness of the identification process program towards the achievement of equitable representation of students, the review of student outcomes, and the academic growth. So you've got academic growth, you've got the effectiveness of the identification program, and then equitable representation of students.
What are you referencing? Which document are you referencing?
I just printed out from our slides that were presented to us on the school board for the gifted advisory under responsibilities. Let me see your screen. Hold on. Do you have bylaws listed? No, that's your purpose and responsibility. Keep going. You should have a bylaws.
Well,
Oh, up at the top.
the whole document is the bylaws. I'm a bit confused as to, okay, I'll keep going down and you can stop me if.
Yeah, hold on. I'm looking. Hold on. Well,
Stop.
yeah, just hold on a second. I'm trying to read it to find exactly what I'm looking for. So we're looking for the effectiveness of the identification process.
I
Keep
don't,
going.
okay.
I don't see that wording in the bylaws I have.
Okay, Terry.
Adopted May of
Me
20
neither.
or January of 2020.
Okay. And it wasn't in the responsibilities at all. All right, I'll try to get with Miss
I found it.
Whitaker.
Do you want me to share it? I can share my screen.
Hold on.
Okay, I'll stop my share. I'm not sure.
Let me share my screen. Oh,
Was
host
that not
disabled.
asking to share?
Yeah, this host disabled participant screen sharing.
We may need to ask Brenda Drake if.
Let me see if you I send this to the chat. If I send this to everyone, can you open this?
I see it in the chat.
And then Control F to find the keywords effectiveness.
Oh. Let me just check, Anna, let me just check with Miss Whitaker and see, because I printed them out from the presentation that they gave the board.
Okay.
And I think it actually specifies, what you need to do, which makes it easier, for Miss Knapp to include all that in the report so that you're not having to go back and request things.
Well, let me share something, some pieces of information that I have. Just one second. Sorry, it's gonna take me a minute.
Ms. Graham, is what you're looking at, is it the revised January 15th and it was approved by the school board February 2nd of 21?
No, Terry, I'm actually looking at the presentation that we were given, and it talks about the gifted advisory. It was the presentation that Miss Whitaker gave us. Let me
Diane, is that in our binder? I don't think I have that.
No, the presentation is not there, but I'm thinking what Ms. Graham is referring to is there's a couple of things that happen. I do an annual review of the program. And so if you go to your plan, if people want to reference the gifted plan, when I did the we did the introduction of the plan last year, last week, or we went through all those parts. If you look at part 10, so the procedure for annual review and effectiveness, I do all those pieces with my report to the division, which then will end up coming to the school board. So it does talk about division screening, analysis of, all that's done in the summertime, and that's submitted to Donna Poland. It's page 41 in your binder.
And that's the gifted department of the division. That's not GAC.
Correct. And then if you look down, probably the fifth paragraph, it says, in accordance with the regulations, the MCPS GAC will review annually the local plan, including revisions, and determine the extent to which the plan for the previous year was implemented. So your report becomes part of my bigger report to the division.
Okay.
And then over on part 11 on page 42, talks about the establishment of the GAC, and then again, what their guidelines are. Does that help?
So
But I think since we're concentrating, you decided as a group that you wanted to do curriculum, and that would be your focus for this year. So I was thinking that would be my update. Is that what you want me to do?
yes,
Okay.
but I still want to share some information that suggests that the GAC can request information if they desire to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and share. This is a little essay or paragraph I wrote up to say why I believe that we can request information. So the responsibility to review plan implementation is described in the state regulations and in the bylaws. Of course, it's a very kind of outline, one sentence thing in the bylaws, but we are supposed to review plan implementation. We need to determine the extent to which the plan for the previous year was implemented. And this.
And can I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I don't disagree that we can ask for information.
Okay.
I don't disagree at all.
Okay.
But I think that for today, we don't know what we need to ask for until we get the division's report.
Okay.
And you have in here, you quoted where Donna Poland says that the GAC she suggests that we focus on one area, which we decided would be curriculum.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that we need to spend our time right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. We don't need to spend our time
doing really, I mean, I think that until we get the division report, there's not a whole lot that we can do. And maybe if we save time on today's meeting, we can buy back some of that time at our April meeting. Maybe it's going to take a little bit longer. So that's kind of where my head is. Until we know what they're reporting, then we can't really ask the questions.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable. Okay, yeah, so we should get into our actual discussion of what we want to, of the plan. So let's see. So what was I gonna? So another thing I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry for all this preliminary stuff, but I do think we need at least a short conversation on how we're going to get our ideas on paper. So my thinking for tonight is we kind of have a discussion of ideas, but then we need to get ideas on paper because part of our job is to produce a written report with our recommendations. So we need a plan for how to produce this written report. Like, I don't know. I'm going to open it up for idea. I had some ideas myself, but I want to hear if anyone else has suggestions.
Can we collaborate on a Google Doc?
I think that's a great idea. So the only problem is we have to be very careful about open meeting laws, which I've been delving into in the last few days. So our committee is governed by open meeting laws, which means that if we conduct our work, in sort of in real time, that has to be open to the public. Now, if we work on a Google Doc and say someone edits it on Tuesday morning, and then someone else edits it on Tuesday night, and someone else edits it on Wednesday, that's fine. That's not in real time, so it's fine for us to do that. But if everybody's on the Google Doc at the same time editing, that's a problem for open meetings. So I just wanted to explain that. Does that make sense to everybody? Does it?
Anna,
okay.
This is Marty. I'm this, so I'm trying to play catch up here. So what we're writing, the report that we're writing is that I'm looking at the bylaws and it says by submitting a written report to the division superintendent and the school board detailing the findings of the annual effectiveness review. Is that what Diane's doing? Or not?
Oh, go ahead.
So I would think, yeah, it would make sense to have that. I'm agreeing with Terry and everyone else, because if we're reviewing the effectiveness of that, we can't do that until we see it. Do you know what I mean? That's number, I think that's number 3, the third bullet on the bylaws. So
my interpretation is yes. So my interpretation is there are 2 things that we can put into our report. One is exactly what you were saying. We make recommendations based on the effectiveness report or implementation items that we are aware of. But I believe there's a second component, which is we can also, and this is the first part in our scope of work. We can also just simply look at the text of the gifted plan and sort of use our own ideas to say, you know what, something isn't included. I'd like to recommend that we include this. Even though that's not kind of an implementation kind of thing, we're allowed to also make recommendations to.
Are you talking about recommending content of what should be in the gifted plan? Because I disagree with that. I think that our role as a committee is like when it says to look at revisions, we're looking at editing and clarification of terminology. I don't know that it's our place to talk about curriculum as a parent committee or a community committee.
I see. Well, what I'm going on is in our our scope of work, which actually the wording came from the bylaws. Let me just read it one more time.
is it the 4th bullet? Is that what you're looking for?
The very first part. The committee is responsible for reviewing the local plan, including recommending revisions thereto. So that's the part I'm looking at, including recommending revisions thereto.
Okay, I see.
Why don't we?
Manually the local plan.
Can we all look at that section? Anna, can you bring the bylaws back up? Because I think that's what Marty was saying, if that's okay if I reference it. It says, Marty, the 4th bullet, by reviewing and formulating suggestions regarding revisions to the local plan before it's submitted to the division superintendent and the school board. So I think this year, because we've had, I don't want to call it COVID year or a short year, currently you all won't have, that's what Anna was saying, you all won't have that to do, because at this point we have no plan. We just got our plan approved, so the staff has no plan to make any revisions, so we don't need to get that part to you to review before we, because at any point that we would do that, we'd bring it to the committee and then you all could help us with revisions before it moves forward.
That's what I was thinking, Diane, because we have a new plan. So right now, there aren't any revisions to review because it's new, right? I mean, I think because we're talking about the new plan that was just.
Correct. And it was approved by the
I'm just trying to catch up here and figure out what we're doing. So, but if there's not any, there aren't any revisions at this point to review, right? But
Correct.
we can review Diane's report and then go from there. So I think it's 2 different things, but I think one of them, I don't see how we can do it when there are no revisions currently to review.
But we can, looking at the first bullet point, we can recommend our own revisions if we want to.
Well,
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Not for the current plan.
What's that?
This is Marty, not for the current plan. That's already been voted on by the school board. At this point, what you'll be doing is working on detailing the findings of the annual effectiveness review and making related recommendations.
I disagree. My reading of the first bullet point is that we can review the local plan, including recommending revisions to it.
Anna, there's also one point, will you slide down to
I see what she's saying.
where it says members are expected to, and that sort of
Sure.
gave us an order of what we needed to do as well.
Here we go.
There we go.
Participate in an annual review of the local plan conducted by MCPS. Annually receive and review a written report from the MCPS administrator of the gifted program to determine the extent to which the local plan was implemented, and develop a written report on the extent to which local plan was implemented in the previous year and any recommendations the GAC has approved to be reviewed by the school board and the superintendent. So let's let that go for now and just decide on a general, like a general idea for how we're gonna get our ideas on paper. So we had the idea of Google Doc, shared Google Doc, which I like. I had one other idea, but does anyone else want to suggest something?
Maybe have a subcommittee, have a regular meeting. Would that help?
Subcommittee. Let me go.
Are we allowed to have subcommittees? To me, that
Yeah,
doesn't sound like that's within.
That's a good point, Terry. It's really not recommended. And there's no need to have subcommittees for what work the GAC is doing. It's not recommended to do that.
I agree that it's difficult to do work by subcommittees with the open meeting law. So, but I did have another idea, and this is something that's I know is done by at least one other gift advisory committee in the state. Once we have a general idea of what we want to put in the recommendations, we can assign a section to one or two people. So say we have three overarching things we want to talk about. Number one could be worked on by 1 to 2 people. Number two could be worked on by 1 to 2 people. Number three could be worked on by 1 to 2 people. And that we wouldn't run into any open meeting law problems with that because 2 people on a committee are allowed to deliberate and work together without violating open meetings. And then the different sections could be collated and brought to the whole committee for review and approval. That was another idea.
I guess I'm going back to my concern of, I don't know that we are going to have recommendations. I mean, we're looking at the curriculum section and to see how it was implemented this year. And to be honest, I think we can say because of COVID, there's going to be a lot of the curriculum that was in the plan that was not able to be applied. And so I don't know that we can't make a lot of recommendations based on the fact that this year had so many restrictions. I feel like that we can say our recommendation is next year, we hope that COVID is gone and we can do the plan.
Yeah, that's one thing. Well, why don't we get, okay. Let's, if it's okay with everyone, like speak up if it's not, but why don't we get into our actual discussion of the content of the plan? Just bring ideas up and see if it takes us anywhere. Is everyone okay with that, or do you have any objections jumping in like that?
Is that just on curriculum?
It would be curriculum and instruction. Yes. Yeah, basically thinking about curriculum and instruction. Yes. Okay.
And again, I playing the dumb one here. I feel like the plan's only been in place since the 20th of November.
Mhm.
And then we were out for Thanksgiving, and then we were out for Christmas, and we've been out for so much that I mean, this was just approved.
Yeah.
And I think we've got like 5 years to, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be implemented over the next 5 years. So it's brand new. So I don't know. I mean,
Well, and
I
I've
think
read,
a lot of work went into doing the new plan and then getting it approved. So it seems a little premature to me, especially given this insane year we've had.
and maybe Anna, we don't understand what you're asking.
Yeah,
I don't have any questions or concerns. I don't,
Okay.
if I had some questions, we could ask Diane to address specifically.
Mhm.
And maybe some that are on the committee that aren't educators may have some more questions or need clarification. I don't have anything to ask or to say.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Okay. Why don't I ask, why don't I ask other people? I guess, does anyone want to jump in, or like, I almost feel like I should call on names so that people who are shy can, I don't know, say something if they want to, but you can always pass if you don't feel comfortable or don't want to say anything.
Anna, it's Amy. I guess I just need a little clarification. So what do you want us to discuss about this? Because really, I've read it, I'm using it, and I think it's clear, but I'm not 100% sure what you're wanting us to discuss about this.
Any concerns that there is something that is written in the plan that you think needs clarification, or it's missing something that you think is important, or it's even just, you know, in your experience, is it true that what's written in the plan is actually carried out?
I think in order to answer those questions, we need to wait for the report to come back from Diane with the other GRT's input on that. Because right now I don't feel comfortable giving that without, you know, everybody having their say in it. So I'm gonna do that right now. But I think we just need to focus on our and make sure that we are looking at the implementation of the plan. So I think us just discussing it in general is kind of odd.
Yeah, Anna, it sounds like you might have something specific that you're hoping is going to come up.
No,
is there something that you want to bring up?
Too. That was my question, Anna. Do you have something that you want to start the discussion with?
I can start, sure. I just don't know if it was appropriate for me to start as the chair, but yeah, so I think it's great how the plan talks about meeting individual instructional needs, you know, meeting our children where they are and providing them the right challenge for them to grow academically. But I think, and I know we haven't tested implementation this year, but I think in past years' experience says that instruction is not always consistently in every classroom individualized to an extent where the children have the benefit that they need, the challenge that they need. And so I had some specific ideas for things we could put in the plan that might increase like the consistency of differentiation in all the classrooms that have cluster students, and that increase the and suggestions that would help to increase the kind of like the effectiveness of differentiation for individual students. Like, so for example,
Anna, I'm sorry, but I think I need to just say something here? It sounds
Sure.
like you're kind of bringing up the thing that you kind of emailed out to us that talked about the old plan. And we are supposed to be talking about the new plan, and we're not supposed to be discussing that old plan because that's no longer on the table. So I'm not sure where we're going with this. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just think
yeah.
we're kind of backtracking.
I have read the new plan, and none of my ideas are in the new plan. So it does apply to the new plan. It's fine if you guys don't agree with the ideas, but I feel like our job is to come up with ways to increase the effectiveness of our gifted program and help our students. And so I'm not sure why we want to bring things up that we think would help.
And I see as the GAC, our role is to support the gifted education, the division. And because the goal of the gifted education in Montgomery County is to support our students, and the GAC, we're supporting our division and their job to do that. As the GAC, it's not our job to tell the division what we want them to do or to tell classroom teachers what we think they should be doing.
I'm not advocating for telling them what curriculum they should use. I'm just advocating for things like, let's put in place a system to make sure that differentiation actually occurs, so there's no classroom that basically doesn't experience differentiation all year. Like, can we put a safeguard in place and make sure that's happening? And let me just say that I have looked at annual reports from many gifted education committees throughout the state. And all of them do the things that I'm talking to you about. I can give you some examples if you like.
And I guess I wanted to jump in and like echo what you're saying, Anna. I don't think that we're trying to tell teachers or the program what to do, but the idea of we are trying to support the gifted program by making it the best that it can possibly be. And so since so much of, I guess, kind of piggybacking on the idea that you just had, so much, at least in the elementary schools, in terms of differentiation is left up almost entirely to the classroom teachers. Like, what sort of safeguards could we add to make sure that like those classroom teachers are following through on their responsibility of educating the gifted students? Or I don't know, that's just like one example, but yeah, because I've seen years where it happens and years where it doesn't.
I agree with what you're saying. I think that's wonderful, but I've been an educator for over 20 years and I don't know what kind of safeguards you're talking about. And, if I could magically make everyone in every classroom do what they're supposed to do and provide for every student, I would definitely do it. So I'm not sure what you mean by safeguards that we can put in classroom teachers and then not say that that's telling teachers what we want them to do.
You guys, in our goals and our standard sevens and all that, a lot of what we are evaluated on, and every classroom teacher, differentiation is throughout the whole thing. It is throughout the entire thing. And that becomes the principal's position to make sure that the teachers are doing what they're supposed to do. So I feel like that's bigger than just gifted. That is, all kids need differentiation, not just gifted kids.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and it's interspersed. When I started writing up my stuff for last year, I was like, oh my gosh, it's all differentiation. So I don't know. That should be a safeguard, that's what people are expected to do.
And as part of the gifted plan, they have listed specifically pieces of curriculum and pieces of materials with with names and authors that are provided to every classroom teacher. So I feel like that's already in the MCPS gifted plan. These things are, I mean, you can't make people do everything, but the division at the gifted department and the division is providing it to every classroom teacher, so that every student has access, and especially our gifted kids. So
I guess like a prime example is last year I pushed a lot for enriching our math curriculum. I'm a math teacher. Something I'm extremely passionate about, even though I teach high school. I care a lot about what our elementary school kids are doing. And so Diane provided provided me with some books that they'd purchased by the division, and working with some other teachers, we discussed and came up with basically a multi-page spreadsheet. It has a, hopefully if you're working with gifted students, you've seen it by now, but it has a tab for every grade. And then it has it broken down by unit, and it's got all these different activities that go with each unit, and then like a description. So I don't know, Diane, maybe you need to jump in. Maybe that wasn't like anything to do with the GAC, but I feel like it was something that came up through the GAC, and then it was a way that we could improve things for our mathematically gifted students. So maybe just kind of having conversations about that and making proposals of that sort. Like basically supporting, creating ways to better support our classroom teachers and our gifted teacher. I mean, the more support everybody gets, the better it's going to be. I don't know.
So what happened last year is we were working under the 213-220 gifted plan. We sent out a review of the plan to all of our classroom teachers. We sent out a review plan to all of our parents, and then also community members as well. That idea, Emily, came up. If you look at in the plan, delivery of services, we put that in as our objective 3, to provide rigorous language arts or math, to review the adopted. So what we were hearing from teachers, because it was a new math series, and from parents, because they had seen a new math series, that we needed to take a look at our enrichment pieces. So that came through the review of the plan. And then part of that could have come from you. I think you have an overlapping piece, Emily, because you're also a member of the GAC, but also a parent. So again, that was sort of teeth. We put that in the plan because that came up we felt like, the staff felt like that we needed to do something more with our curriculum for math. And so that became one of our goals under delivery of services. And so I will report about that, because that's something we've done for curriculum this year. And the other one, I think, is under curriculum and instruction. And it says we're going to supplement the divisions English and math. So again, we don't have a separate curriculum for English and math. So what we do is include. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I just couldn't remember how I got started on that. So I couldn't remember if it was GC or not, but I felt like it was an example in enriching it for everyone, or for our gifted students.
Correct. And we had small groups. So we had a communication small group, we had a math small group, and you were part of that math small group as well. So I had parents on there, GRTs, the math supervisor. So there's about 6 that came together to figure out what to do.
If you look on page 29 in the plan, and I think, Diane, that might be where you were talking about too, but it says specifically that classroom teachers are expected to apply appropriately differentiated in curriculum and instruction adapted and modified to accommodate the learning needs of everybody. It's in the plan. That's all we can do. We put it on our plan and then it has to be implemented. And I think that goes back to the schools and back to the principals.
And I guess I just wanted to make sure, like, just these are just my thoughts, but you know, if our GRTs are the ones that have the additional credentials to work with the gifted students, you know, making sure that the classroom teachers know what it is that they need to do, that they know how to work with them and various things like that, to have the appropriate differentiation.
I mean, I can only speak personally, but I know that I do, and talk with them at all the higher level classes or cluster classes and provide lots of information and develop some units myself. If I feel like, for example, we just have honors now in middle school. And so in those classes, really making sure we don't have a separate curriculum, but we enrich the curriculum and make it a little deeper for those classes and the cluster classes. So I think all GRTs are trying to do that. But you can't just walk in and say, here's what you're going to do.
No.
Here's the magic bullet. Okay. But I mean, I do think we're doing that. Or, you know, and again, it's in our plan that it has to happen, but we can't make it happen. We can encourage, you know, administration to make sure it happens. And I think, again, like I said, it's in our annual reviews. It's all about differentiation. So I don't know where we go.
I actually appreciate you saying that, because as a parent, I don't know that.
Exactly. I know you don't.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't mean to. Yeah, like impose. Like sometimes it's like
no.
Like I don't know that's happening. Yeah.
Well, I had a gifted child going through high school. She's 29 now, but she was, and I felt the same way. And I didn't always know what was going on in her classes. And sometimes I felt like it needed to be more. But there was one GRT for the entire counties. So she didn't get a lot. But I feel, and I look at what we're doing now, and I honestly feel like we're way past even where I started in gifted. We're doing, you know, and all we can do is write it and say, here it is, and this is what needs to happen. But then it's out of our hands. And I don't know what kind of safeguards we can put in here. I'm sorry, my dog's barking.
Can I add something? Oh, sorry. Sorry, this is Julie Stanley. I was wondering if I could just add to that, Marty. I do, as a classroom teacher, I've been teaching for 25 years, and many of those years have been with gifted students in my classroom. And once we have started the MAP testing in all of our classrooms, all K through 5, we actually can see where our gifted students are landing in quadrants. And so when we look at our standard 7 goals, and we try to really focus on those children that are typically high, they're typically high scorers if they decide to, you know, take the test like they should on certain days. But when they do, we can make sure that the next time that they take it, that we make sure that they're not low performing, that they're still growing within those quadrants. So as teachers, that's something that we're always looking at. And I feel like our principals are looking at that as well and making sure that, hey, you've got these students here. We still, you know, here are some weak spots. We're always talking about that, I believe, in our, you know, when we talk with our principals about that at the beginning of the year as well as the end of the year. So just so, you know, parents on this committee know that that's something that we do. I don't know about obviously middle school and high school what they do, but I know that at least at our elementary school, we talk about it a lot.
We do at middle school also. And it's this year, unfortunately, I feel like the scores are a little wonky because we've had people say, well, that was too hard for me to do. One of the parents told us, and they're trying to help, and I understand that. But the thing is, I don't think this year it's as reliable, but I agree with you. Last year was fabulous. And you can look, you talk about something where someone can't say that they don't need to differentiate. You could say, look at this. This tells you right here where everybody, where they're landing and where they need to go next. And so once that gets, and I think that's a huge thing that the division's doing, and I'm hoping by next year, fingers crossed, that we'll be back. And that's a really good point, Julie.
And Marty, this is Marty also.
Hi,
and
Marty.
I just wanted to take it at an even higher level. What I'm hearing from the legislators is that, the goal is to really slim down and almost obliterate the SOLs. And what they're going to be doing in place of that is exactly what you're saying and exactly what the division is doing. And that is growth-based.
Yes.
Growth-based. And we get the best granularity from those MAP assessments that we do not only in elementary, but also in middle school. And we can tell exactly where those students need help. And we know that even gifted students will excel in one area, but not in another. And that's where the MAP assessments will give us that granularity and let us supplement that and help with that diverse learning.
Yes.
So I just wanted to add that's what's happening at the VDOE level.
Good.
Which I think is extremely encouraging. And I feel like from what I've heard from legislators is that they're going to give school divisions a choice of assessment products to use. And I can't imagine that MAP wouldn't be one of them.
Right.
They're not going to pigeonhole you into just one. So what we're already doing is way ahead of what is going to be coming down the pike.
Good. I love it.
Yeah.
I think we need to.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think we need to kind of come back to looking at the gifted plan, because in the gifted plan, it talks about using the resources that we have. So using assessments, including MAP scores, the classroom teachers are using that, and the gifted resource teachers are supposed to be using that data to provide for the students. So that's in our plan. And maybe Ms. Burrow-Graves can address that from the administration point of view, but I want to make sure that we stay focused on what we need to talk about, and if there's anything that we really need to further discuss tonight before we get the other information. Sorry, I'm done.
I would say, as far as the gifted, and I can speak for our school, as Julie said, as far as gifted is concerned, we constantly, at least every other week, we are looking at the data and making sure that our gifted person understands where those students are on the MAP scale. So it's constant communication and constant data looking at, so that as she tries to get with the ELA teachers this year, because we haven't done our lead, she's actually pushed in to the classrooms to actually teach higher level or differentiated material within the classrooms. Now that we're back to full capacity almost, she'll be able to pull out and do additional things within her own section. But data is always a part of the communication process, because we don't want our kids to be stagnant, no matter if they're gifted or not. We want them to be moving in an upward trend. So, wherever there are holes or deficits, our gifted teacher is required. I mean, she's literally required to make sure that she's filling in those gaps and keeping in constant contact with those team teachers. Me as an observer or supervisor of a GRT, in regards to Standard 7 that Marty was talking about, and I supervise Marty, and I know that this is true. As far as the Standard 7 is concerned, that differentiation piece is in there. And so as I go to observe what those gifted teachers are doing, I'm making sure that curriculum right now this year, making sure that curriculum meshes with what's going on in ELA, but just at a higher level, always at a higher level, taking what they're doing and expanding it and enriching it. So those things are, you know, at least on the elementary level. And I mean, they did it on the middle school level, because I was at middle school a long time as well. So it's being done. So just to, you know, kind of make you feel a little bit calmer, Anna.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It is being done.
No, I honestly, it's very good to hear all this because I don't know it. So I really appreciate that you guys are on the committee and you can speak to this. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one really small thing I just wanted to say, like, using that data and making sure that we're using it well. I actually, one of my kids' teachers printed off their MAP report, and it actually shows the percentile for growth. And that had come up in the past through some of our work as to whether or not are our gifted students growing as much as our other students. And so that's a really cool thing. I don't know how many classroom teachers are aware of it, but that might be something that our gifted program can help make sure that the gift, like the GRTs or the teachers know, like, not only can you see like what percentile they're in, but you can actually see what percentile their growth is in, and just making sure that they're continuing to grow as much as their classmates.
And I know, you know, in regards to our teachers and our GRT, they know, because our instructional coach has been phenomenal trying to teach how to read those MAP scores and being able to help them, you know, even if it's not gifted, just with the regular ed students, how to group them based on skill abilities and making sure that those skill abilities are similar so that they can group similarly and be able to, you know, do small groupings that way. So, you know, it's an amazing tool. And so
Yes.
it gives a lot of information because it's normative and it's able to, you know, as they answer questions, it, you know, if it's too hard, then it's going to make the test, the next question easier. If it's too easy, it's going to make it harder so that it can really pinpoint what level the kiddos are on. So it's a very accurate, I found it to be a very accurate tool. And again, I come from secondary, so I've never seen it before in the past. And so, you know, being in elementary for, you know, a small amount of time compared to some of the other ones who are on this committee, you know, it's an incredible tool.
And Emily, I can speak to the training. Every elementary principal, after that second test is administered and you get that growth score that you were talking about, every elementary principal is trained on how to read the reports. We actually pull up that particular report. That's a favorite because it's a color-coded quadrant chart and it's really user-friendly. But every elementary principal is trained on that, and we review it each year. And this year, of course, was a little bit different, like everybody said, and it was kind of hard. And we even went through and really focused on, okay, what's our division average? Let's take a look at that in terms of growth. So definitely our principals get that training. And then, of course, you know, we give the guidance to go back to the schools to work with all teachers, including the GRTs, to make sure that we're using that data. Another tool within MAP is called the Learning Continuum, and that's a big focus at our elementary schools, how we use that to differentiate instruction. So thanks, Cheryl, for reminding me of that. Thank you, ma'am.
Anytime, Wickham.
Anna, I will add, not only does that happen in elementary level, because as a teacher, I've always had a GRT come in and collaborate with me for my groups, but I also have a child that's in secondary and now she's in high school. And that differentiation, it continues all the way through. And we're in a completely different strand than where I teach. And I see the same thing and have the whole time. So they've been doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah. Well, can I ask I'm going to ask you guys one other question. So it's about the beginning of the school year. And I know that you guys can't start up differentiation right away because there's a lot going on at the beginning of the school year. But what does that normally look like?
I'm not sure that what you mean by that they weren't able to start differentiation at the beginning of the school year, because I would say that that's happening in classrooms on day one, even before day one, when teachers get data from last year. And even this year, even since, I mean, I've seen on Twitter, Miss Stanley's class, she's doing small group reading with masks and shields and everything. So differentiation did start happening on day one. So I'm not sure I understand your question.
And I would agree because, and I'm going to just put myself out there with the new benchmark program. We were expected, our ELA teachers were expected on day one to be teaching that curriculum. So, we struggled to figure out how we're going to get the touchy-feely kind of stuff, community building stuff going on, because day one, it was like chop, chop, chop. We're in there. So, Miss Stanley is doing her whole group. She's doing her small group, and she made sure that she knew her data with the kids that she had before they got there on day one. So, it's the time of just kind of laying around, getting to know each other, in depth on day one is really not the way that we can do things now, because the goal is to make sure that they're on grade level. And it has to be massaged and done differently nowadays, just because we have to get those kids to a point where they are literate.
And Anna, I know like at the middle school, I'll just speak for myself, but I get my list done way before school starts. Check with the principals to make sure that kids are in the right place. When math is put out and there's something that looks a little off, I go in and have, usually there are 3 or 4 placements that after discussions they're placed in different places. So that starts the differentiation because they're in the different level classes, and then working with curriculum. So I really feel like we do hit the ground running. I mean, I feel like we do.
I mean, that sounds excellent. Sounds like you was doing a great job. I guess I was just, based on some anecdotal stuff, I'm not sure if what you guys are doing is done everywhere throughout the division.
I think I could agree with that. I think it's up to especially this year when we had to implement a new language arts program, not only reading, but also writing and spelling. It was a huge task, and it still continues to be a huge task. Obviously, teachers are in it for growth as well. So I think it is up to how we were able to juggle everything. I personally was able to do a gifted unit with some of my 3rd graders, but I definitely can say that it wasn't probably, many people were not able to do it. I only had 20 minutes for small group work. So I would meet with my gifted group about once to twice a week. And everybody else I had to meet with every day. There were certain kids that I had to meet with every day as well. So that's really hard to do in 20 minutes. And now I hope that you'll hear maybe more of that happening, because it's just it was very hard to juggle, just as a classroom teacher and even as an experienced teacher. When you're in the middle of an adoption year, it takes about 3 years for teachers and for students to really get the hang of the curriculum and the wording and things like that. But definitely this year was certainly a challenge. So I really do feel like we're going to hear more.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you anymore. I'm not sure about the end of what you said. But yeah, I really appreciate that. And I I think 1 to 2 times a week is great, actually. I'm not like expecting, personally, I'm not expecting more than that. So just to be clear. But yeah, thank you for that. I'm not sure if we're sort of wrapping up. I wonder if I should just make sure everyone has a chance, you know, if anyone else wants to say something.
Anna, I guess
Yeah.
I would just say that if you have questions about what's going on with your student, you need to talk to your GRT and your child's teacher. We can all give examples of what's going on in our classroom, but you definitely need to reach out to your child's personal teachers.
Yes, yeah, and I have done that. Thank you. I'm just trying to see like who. I'm not sure if we should do this, but I'll go ahead and like ask everyone if there's anything else they want to like ask about or say. Marty Hale, I guess. I know you've spoken.
I've said enough.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I will defer to someone else.
Amy, did you want to add anything?
I just think we need to make sure that we're focusing on what we're supposed to be doing. And I think we had some interesting discussion tonight.
Okay. Thank you. And Julie, do you want to add anything, or you can shake your head if you if you're okay?
I think I'll sit up, but there's another Julie Kaminsky, or I'm not sure which one you're talking to. There's two.
I'm good. I'm still definitely in learning mode. I'll just let Julie Stanley say everything for me.
Cheryl, great. No, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just think that we should do like Amy said, as the plan asks, we should make sure that we just review the effectiveness. But based on the new plan, I mean, it's basic, you know, and again, I agree with Marty Hale. You know, we have to make sure administrators are making sure that with their standard 7s that GRTs are making sure that they're doing their part in differentiating the curriculum.
Okay. Diane, did you want to? No. Emily?
I've said enough, probably more than enough.
Okay. Marty Graham? You're okay. Yasmin? Okay. Terry? No, I know you need to check with Carrie and Aaron, but we need to wrap it up and have figure out at the very end what our plan is. Did we decide we're going to collaborate on a Google Doc once we get the information from the division? Like Amy said, we need to stay focused. We have 2 responsibilities, and to review this curriculum section of the plan, and then to determine the effectiveness of the implementation, which really I don't see as being it's not going to be a big report this year. So I'm good. I just want to, if you want to go and ask those if they have anything to add, and then we need to wrap back around to make sure we have our game plan for next time. Yeah, sounds good. Let's see. Erin?
No, thanks. I'm good.
Nah.
Thanks for checking. I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. And Carrie?
I don't have anything to add. I'm good.
And Barbara Wickham?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. And Carl? Are you there?
I promise I've been listening the entire time. I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. So
I
I guess,
just be eating, so I don't figure anybody wanted to see that.
okay, perfect.
I'm done.
So as Terry said, I guess we can come back around and think about our plan. So what, we can sort of informally say what, or just think about briefly, like what do we want to do next meeting? What do we think we need to do next meeting? We need to, oh, and also, are we asking Diane to provide a report ahead of the next meeting? I see head nodding.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll ask Diane to provide her report, I guess, after that Wednesday she was talking about, and then we can get the agenda right out. And so everyone can take a look before Tuesday's meeting. And then so I guess we'll I guess ask Diane to maybe present the report and have a discussion of it. Does that sound good? I mean, allow us to have questions and then I guess discuss. Does that sound like a good plan? So are we it's gonna be emailed to us prior to the April 13th meeting, and then you're gonna put Diane on the agenda to share and we can ask questions? Yes, that's what I was suggesting. Yes. Okay. And then, so I guess do we want to then also talk about, I mean, not now, but do we want to postpone to next meeting our discussion of like how we're getting our ideas on paper, or do we want to talk about that more now? Like how I think we can go ahead and determine now so that we can start collaborating. Okay, so what do people think?
I definitely suggest to share Google Docs. That way we can check in on it at any time.
I agree.
Agree.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like we have some agreement. I wonder if we need to do a formal motion. We should probably, just to make things formal, ask someone to make a motion that this is how we're going to produce our document. So do I have a motion to?
Yeah, sure. This is Erin. I'll make a motion to use a Google Doc shared.
Okay, thanks, Erin. And is there a second?
It's Cheryl Burrell Gray, second.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, thank you. And does anyone want to discuss this before we vote on it? Okay, so I guess I'll go ahead and ask for a vote on the motion to prepare our final written report eventually through work on a shared Google Doc. Let's see, all those in favor say aye.
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 If there are any opposed,
Aye.
please say no. Oh, thank you. Any opposed, please say no. Okay, so the motion passes. Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to bring up before I adjourn the meeting? Okay, so yeah, thanks everyone for our discussion, and I am adjourning our meeting at 8:13 p.m. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the meeting.
Thank you.